Okay, I think we're live.
We are live. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome back to Casual Conversations. So, today we're going to be doing an interview with Warlike Wrath. And
Hey
I
there.
want to say you're definitely an expert on the M Cave and the Kenny Veach, disappearance. So, do you want to talk a little bit about who is Kenny Veach and his disappearance?
So with Kenny Veach, he's definitely into hiking, and in 2014, I think it was November, ended up disappearing. We don't know when he actually went out because the videos that were uploaded, it was a collection of them all done on the same day. So there's a chance it was recorded. His M Cave hike was maybe a few months ago. And then after that, he went back out because he wanted to prove he could find the M Cave. And yeah, some people, encouraged him to go. Maybe other people bullied him. I'm not quite sure because I wasn't around at the time. And obviously, he didn't come back after that.
Right. And so, I before we did our video, because we did our video, I want to say about a year ago, and it was in July, same month, and we just pretty much talked about him and who he was as a person, because I did go into his YouTube page and I got to see all his videos that he would record, and he just seemed like such a genuine person.
He was very creative.
Yeah. Very outgoing. He loved his home, and all these decorations he would bring back was just amazing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he had a lot.
yeah, so definitely, like, he just seemed like a very nice person. And so, his YouTube is very interesting because he shows his hikes, he talks about the M Cave. So can you tell us a little bit about what the M Cave is?
So the M Cave, it has not been officially found yet, but supposedly it's in the shape of an M. To an extent, it's fairly big, same size as Kenny, and it's deep, not shallow, but no one has been able to find that yet. However, later on in this stream or so, there is a few contradictions made by Kenny, which questions the reality of things.
Yeah. So, yeah, because I know that there has been, do you want to talk about like people that want to, look for the cave?
Yeah, well, I mean, there has been, right?
Yeah.
People who are interested in finding this cave, but I feel like over time it's gotten more complicated.
It has. And I think, there has been, I know that there's been, if you go on YouTube and you click and you write in Kenny Veach or the M Cave, you find so many people that have tried to look for the cave or that tried to go up there and look for him. What do you think about that?
So the way it seems to be was, let's say back in 2015, 2016, there was only really one official guy out there, the original Sean Horlacher, that's how you say his name, also known as Liberia Sean, and he was out for a bit doing what he can, followed by Jeff Clark in 2017, and then it went quiet after that. Then Sean came back again, maybe 2019 or so, to find and show the covered M Cave, and after that it went quiet again, and that's when I showed up from the start of 2020 up till now, consistently covering stuff here and there of previously recorded footage. And then after that, in more recent time, you've seen the emergence of, well, it's Scott Natal, Jay Silverheels, Jay Chuck, Aqua Chigga. They've started covering it as well as Mystery Hikes.
Yes. And I was watching some of those last night, just throughout the week, just trying to see. But I do want to ask you, I know that that you mentioned Sean. That's how initially you found.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
When we were doing some research about the M Cave, I did find one of his videos where he had seen the cave, right? I think he was searching for it.
It was like a covered cave.
Yeah.
And so he did mention something about there's like a keyhole.
Oh yeah.
So we want to ask you about that. What is that? What's going on with the keyhole?
So the keyhole cave is on the right hand side next to the covered cave. It's shallow, and then next to that is another shallow cave which is more the shape of the M. The Keyhole Cave, shallow. At first, there was like suspicion that it was filled in or something because of like the white markings and possible sealant used. The hole itself, at first, looked odd, but there wasn't much to it. But it's in Sean's video when he approached it, and supposedly it looked like an eye appeared.
Right. Yeah, and so I thought, because I know Eileen's the one that found that video, and she was sharing it, and so I was looking at it, and I was like, yeah, you can tell there's something that kind of like either glazes through, or just you can see something, but I mean, it could be a lot of things, but I know that there was a lot of people that were very, how do you say it? Like they were interested in finding out what it was. People started speculating or saying that it was, something, maybe like a type of creature or something. So what do you think about that? Do you think that's the case, or?
Well, I'll get to it in a second. I did do an update clearing things up, but before that, the actual theories were it could be a spider, could be some kind of fly, bee or something that was involved. But in the end, quite a few people were saying it was just simply cobwebbing. It was actually a combination of cobwebbing, deception, the poor camera focus. In the end, it was like an optical illusion. What ended up happening was, yes, there was cobwebbing covering the hole, probably bits of dust, bits of vegetation, anything that's gathered within it over time. And as Sean enters the shallow cave, he does have to naturally go down and duck, and that involves lowering the camera. And as the camera is lowered, it forms an alignment with the cobwebbing, which is then covering the hole, which creates that obstruction. And like a lift mechanism, as one thing goes down, the other thing goes up. As Sean stands back up or moves the camera up, the alignment is now lost. So it looks like whatever that suddenly obstructed the hole has now disappeared. So that's what it was.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's good to know, because I know people were saying, talking about reptilians, and they were saying that it could be, which, I mean, we don't know what's out there. There's so many possibilities of, creatures that we don't know of that, could be out there. But that's definitely an interesting point, that it could be many things, natural occurring things. So was there anything you wanted to ask?
I feel like I kind of wanted to get into some of the updates.
Okay, yeah. So since you want to ask,
I think it was the mine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, because I know since then, like we said, there's been a lot of people that have been going out there trying to investigate on their own or look for some trace of Kenny up there. So I know that the mine was a big place where Kenny would record, and that's I feel like that was like a guiding point for him. So what do you think has been going on with the mine?
So the mine shaft, 2017, it was captured by Jeff Clark in one of his videos, a photo, and everything seemed fine, and everything before 2017 was fine. But it was when Scott Natal went there himself in, I think, 2021 or so, around about then, and there was like a missing brace at the top of the ladder or the post, which is one of the most securest parts of the thing. Jeff Clark said that himself, because he actually went down there, he attached a rope to one of the wooden beams or something because it was secure enough. And yet when Scott Natal went a few years later, it was missing. It wasn't on the floor. It wasn't there. And what Jeff said, that because it was quite supported, you'd have to use some kind of like equipment to remove the beam or something. So I don't know who would do that.
That's interesting. Yeah, I did see the pictures of that on one of your videos where you explain it in detail on how that was removed. And then was it the case that it was removed, and then when somebody else went back, it was back on? It's not been replaced since.
Before 2017 and before that, it was all fine from the looks of it. But it was only in like 2021 or so when the top part was missing. And I believe what some people have said was the ladder or something was lowered also. And from like what Jeff said, because he's been down there, there's a chance it's been sabotaged. So if anyone else goes down there, they might end up injuring themselves or
hurt.
dying.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. And do you know of anybody that's actually gone into the mine and explored it?
Yeah, Jeff Clark, he went down
Okay.
there himself, and Scott Natal, he actually climbed down there on the ladder, which was quite surprising.
Wow. So it was pretty sturdy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it looks very weathered, and I don't think I would do it.
Yeah. That seems dangerous.
There was
Okay.
another thing found in the mine shaft.
Okay.
So 2017 again, but Jeff wasn't aware of it at the time. Must have been a few years later. People reported that they could see a crystal skull in the mine shaft.
Right. And did anybody actually try to go and retrieve it, or was it left alone?
Well, the strange thing is, all the recent people that have gone since, like Silverheels, J Chuck, and maybe even Aquachiga, when it's been suggested to them to actually have a look inside, none of them have done that, which is a bit weird.
Yeah, it could be kind of scary too. I wouldn't want to go in there or try to, but it's an interesting thing, because you would think that them finding his cell phone near the mine shaft and finding some of his coins there, that maybe he fell in there, or somehow he had maybe an accident near there. So, but it's just interesting that they haven't been able to find anything. I do want to ask you about, I know that you have another recent video on them finding a campsite. What do you think about that? Or do you think that belongs to Kenny?
It depends, because in terms of location, it's not too far from where Kenny could have been, and near Picture Canyon. I need to do another video at some point of a proper map analysis covering it and measuring the distance. But in terms of what was found, a tent which was torn up, I don't know who would have done it or what caused it. And a bamboo concealed sword was found nearby, tucked under some rocks. So yeah.
Right.
And in terms of it possibly linking to Kenny, not quite sure yet, because Scott did say he was going to try and find answers or something, but not much has come out. However, in recent time, one person who suggested it could be Kenny's or Kenny's brother's sword was Susan Veach, who is a part of the Kenny Veach family, related in some way, and she's shown up in recent time, but she only showed up just after I covered the video of the CCTV footage of a break-in in Las Vegas, which was hinting at Kenny could have been caught on camera in 2018.
Yes, I did see that CCTV footage, and it was interesting, because are you aware of what was taken?
Yeah. So when the person broke in, they went behind the counter, didn't get anything, but you ended up taking an iPad. Now the question is, why would an iPad just be left there? Surely it would have been taken home or locked away somewhere in the back, but it wasn't. So that was weird. And it seemed like the person knew what they were going for, and that's what they got. The question is, why? Was there something on it? Was there some kind of emails, some kind of accounts to look at for him, if it was Kenny? And additionally, there is 2 links as well, because the store owner is called Debbie Veach, who is the sister of Kenny Veach. And additionally, that store, the Reiki Healing Center, they sell crystal skulls, and they look quite similar to the potential skull that was found in the mine shaft.
That's so interesting. I know I saw that, and I was like, it may be a type of ritual. I mean, what else would there be a skull and it was, because they're trying to say, I heard people, or I saw that people were trying to say that it probably belonged to the store, and they took it. But that footage was definitely very interesting, because it did look like him,
Yeah,
oddly enough, it did. And so I was like, that's interesting. I mean, after all this time, if he was alive, or if he is alive, you know, hopefully he is. I would want to believe he is. That he's somewhere, you know, trying, or maybe just in hiding. I mean, what do you think? What's your theory on his disappearance?
Well, normally, most of the time, I tend not to go all in on anything, even like with the keyhole, because can never be fully certain. But if we're basing it off like the CCTV footage, within that video, I was getting at the possibility that he could be living amongst the homeless, or if not that, he is somewhat on the run, and some of the family members of the Veitch family are in on it as well. Because from what Susan Veitch said, who was a part of the Veitch family relative, she said some of the Veitch family members are okay, but others are morally corrupt or something. So.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, that's, and I mean, because I know that there's been a lot of people that think, and I think a lot, like I was reading comments, and there's most of the majority were thinking that he committed suicide. And that's why he went up there. And he talked about it previously about how if he were to commit suicide, people wouldn't find him. What do you think about that? Do you think he was depressed, or that's a possibility?
I mean, it could be a possibility that he had some kind of issues, but if we actually look back to 2011 on his Facebook page, what he posted was about spirituality and the importance of life and how it should be appreciated and make the most of it. So he seemed quite positive then. And, he's into spiritual stuff, as like you said previously, and even on his liked playlist before it became privatized automatically by YouTube. So he's involved in that. He seemed to have quite a strong mindset, quite creative, like you said, quite positive. So I don't think so. And as with the mental health part, the depression, all we're basing it off is what the supposed girlfriend said. Now, although they are in the mental health profession, I mean, it's quite unprofessional of her to say, don't pull another Robin Williams on me. You don't normally say that. And additionally, she didn't seem to, from what I've seen, she didn't seem to really help him financially, or specifically like psychologically, being involved in that sort of field. You thought there would have been some kind of intervention or more help, but no, it seemed quite laid back and casual. And the other questionable thing is, like I said, the supposed girlfriend. I don't know where he stand with that, because at one point he mentioned in his M Cave hike saying, oh yeah, and my girlfriend picked me up along the highway. But then in his video where I think he was selling his house, he ended up referring to supposedly Sharon as his friend. So that's a bit confusing, that dynamic, how it's on and off. So it depends what you believe in.
Right. Yeah. And I remember that video too. It was, he really loved his house. And I know that he did mention too, he had family, he had a daughter, or he has, I don't want to say that he's gone, because we don't know, like you said, it's not, been proven, or they haven't found anything yet. So, and that's true. I think that definitely if, he indeed had a deep depression, that his family would try to help him in some way. But I know that when he went back to look for the cave, he had a gun with him, right? And so to me, like our feeling was that he was trying to go look for this cave. He doesn't know what he's going to find. So he was trying to bring something where he can defend himself. And that's the feeling that I got when, he was talking about it and what his plan was. So it didn't seem to me like he wanted to do something.
Yeah, I think you might have done a previous video, and I remember hearing you say that yourself, because, if he's already taken a gun with him in the past for protections, to specifically protect himself from dying, then why would it be any different this time?
Right. Do you have?
Yeah, I have a question. What are your thoughts on, I know it was before he went ahead and went on his last hike, right? The comments that someone had left, if you go, you'll never come back out.
Yeah. So I wasn't around at the time when those comments emerged. But this account that said that, in the end, I think the account ended up being deleted, most likely because it was probably a joke comment. It ended up actually happening, backfired, and I guess people harassed that user. And then what ended up happening was the person deleted the channel because of the harassment. But the funny thing was, in 2020 at some point, another Lemmy showed up saying the same thing to me. Now, yeah, it was a fake account and everything, and then we went through that phase of all these imposters and everything, which was a bit weird. But you know, I got threatened as well.
Wow, that's scary.
I mean, it's a bit weird, but it was after talking about the keyhole. I ended up getting emails in cryptic coding. I'm getting long paragraphs of Morse code, binary code translated into German and then into English. I mean, one person who was around at the time who was involved in the mystery and interested was called Michelle Mosaic, and she ended up helping me decipher one of them, which took 12 hours because the actual codes, it was like 0 and 1s, but the problem was the 0s were O's and the 1s were L's. So you had to, from what I knew of at the time, you had to manually change every one, and there was thousands of them. So it would have taken forever. And what ended up happening was the codes translated to, it was more progressive, saying bad things will happen, and then random bullet points saying location, IP address, and all that random stuff, and then saying how these people are reasonable, but they can get violent if you continue covering all this stuff, so you better stop now. And then eventually I end up doing a video saying, I know it's you, I know all these codes and stuff. They revealed themselves, not directly, but from the original person that was sending the threats, and they said, we will talk at some point in the future. And they actually gave a date. It was the 6th of May 2021, and that was done back in 2020. So when it got into 2021, a few months before that, there was some user account, I don't know if they're Turkish or not, but they had a Turkish sounding name, and they left a comment saying the 6th of May is coming. So I thought, oh, is this where it's all going to come to an end and I'm going to finally meet them face to face? In the end, nothing happened, but still had to be prepared.
Yeah, that must be scary. I mean, and it's interesting because I feel like a lot of people take advantage of the situation and they try to, you know, like they say the trolls or people that are out there trying to just, you know, mess with people and scare people. And so I think that's how did you handle that? I mean, how were you afraid, or were you you know, you kind of knew in the back of your head, it's just somebody trying to mess with me?
Well, it was one of those things because it's never happened before. I wasn't expecting it, but then eventually I thought, okay, I'll just go along with it. And, you know, like psychological warfare, trying to act a little bit innocent, a little bit vulnerable, to a point where it seems like the power dynamic has changed and they feel like they're in control, just to see how things play out. But, you know, I wasn't getting too scared. Just go along with it, wait for it to drag out. I mean, yeah, there was a few trolls or people that complained. That's not an issue. But at the end of the day, when it comes to negative stuff or abuse, psychological, physical, I've already been through it in the past, so I'm used to it now. That doesn't bother me. Anything that bothers me is when people act nice and then they stab me in the back later on. But linking back to this mystery, you had the odd few trolls. Like one guy ended up actually slandering me and supposedly exposing me, making videos, which was kind of damaging in the short run. So that got a bit messy, but we ended up sorting that out in the end. They apologized, and then ever since it's been pretty silent, so that's good.
Okay, I see Jay Silver Heels is on, and he's you know, talking about the incident, what happened, and so I guess it's a person that you must know that was writing these, or that you've heard of, that was sending you these messages.
Which ones? The threats?
Yes.
No, I've no idea who the person was that was doing it.
Okay.
I believe they were Russian, based off their username and their text used.
Wow, that's definitely, I mean, the lengths people would go to, right?
Yeah,
It's just
because at the end of the day, people can write it off and say, "Oh, it's nothing. It's just a troll." But why would they go to so much depth and length? You know, it's one thing sending the odd message that's negative, but then spending maybe a few hours or so or whatever, making it very cryptic and hard to decipher. What's the whole point behind it?
yeah, that's I know. And because I did see your videos of that, and I was like, well, why would somebody take all their time to just do something like this? But we can't understand why people do what they do. But I'm glad that you're okay. Nothing happened. And you're still bringing those great videos. Do you want something? Do you want to add something?
Yeah, the female voice.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think there was a video about that. I kind of wanted to know a little more about that.
Okay.
So there's like two of them actually. I did two videos. One, the original, the female voice sounded like someone was laughing in the background, and then the second one was some other weird sound. In a way, it's not really been cleared up. You know, there've been the odd few suggestions saying it's some kind of bird, which in a way could make sense. You know, if people are in that area and have heard similar sounds, that helps clear that part up. I myself haven't really come to a conclusion, but it was a bit coincidental, at least the female voice one, where after he mentioned about his girlfriend and kind of joked, you heard a little laugh in the background. But in terms of like the camera angle and the camera movement, you couldn't really see any shadows or anyone else present. So it would have been hard to hide someone else behind the camera.
Yeah, because most of the time it looked to me like he was by himself. If you want to go, scary, or it could be EVPs. I mean, you never know. The cameras capture voices of ghosts and stuff, so that's a possibility.
Because I remember in the past with Sean, his original footage, there's a lot of people saying about the mine shaft, how they kept hearing someone saying "help me" in the background, but in the end, it was because I think Sean was re-recording it or something on his camera, and because of family in the background, his children ended up, being captured on the auditory. So it was misunderstood at the time, but that was sorted.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, I know because like I said, there's a lot of people that have been trying to go out there and investigate and, look for him or look for the cave. So what do you think is happening to a lot of these people? Because I know that there's people that are really into it, and then all of a sudden they just stop and they, what do you think is happening, or why do you think, is it they just lose hope, or they no longer are interested?
I'd say the only person, first of all, that hasn't really been impacted would be Aqua Chigga. He's quite a popular YouTuber, and even Exploring Abandoned Mines and Unusual Places, he's another YouTuber that kind of got involved temporarily. Those two have been fine, but it's the people previously. So you can say to an extent, Sean, his behavior changed. I made notes of that. Yes, there was conflict and it got a bit messy, but I had to document everything. So I'll get into more detail in a second. So there was Sean, one of the first ones or so, followed by Really Robin. That got very strange, the way he was acting. And then, like Jay Chuck, he's done his bit. He didn't really act out. He didn't always listen to suggestions about, recording longer or actually going to that mine shaft to look at the skull. But he stopped in the end for most part of it because, he's been out there. He did 25-mile hikes, going hardcore into it. He's done his bit, but he's dropped off since. He doesn't really do it. So it's kind of gone a bit quiet again. Scott Natal, last thing he did was obviously that campsite. He's not done anything since. So it's gone a bit quiet. But do you want me to explain the behavior regarding Sean and Robin?
Sure.
So I can't remember exactly which order it happened in, but if we start with Liberia Sean, he was involved in it for a while. And yeah, he was talking about how he got threatened in the past. And I think his vehicle was tampered with, altered, sabotaged underneath. I don't know if it was I can't say the word, something underneath, which could have caused the car to flip at some point. So there was that. And then he went a bit quiet because he was being threatened by people, and he must have got a contact or someone to investigate or try and track down the IP address, and it tracked to a cafe in Russia. Now, I don't know if that has any link to the Russian person I came across. Maybe it's just a coincidence. But yeah, but in more recent time, what I noticed from Sean is behavior started changing. Maybe it's because he was, getting too involved with like the political stuff and all that. I don't really go there with that stuff. But I saw it in the streams, like he's probably not gonna appreciate me saying this, but his body language, facial expression, tone of voice. In the past it was more about, yes, we appreciate all these like points about the M Cave and the mystery. We're a community, we're all in this together, so if you suggest something to me that's really helpful and useful, thank you. That's what he would normally be like. But in recent time, when I messaged him about, I can't remember what it was now, something M Cave related, he just like sent an abrupt text saying, Andrew, you're on your own now. No one can help you. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. That's what he ended up saying. And I'm like, wait, why have you suddenly changed behavior? And he said, he set me up. And that was linking on to Robin. Supposedly, really, Robin set Sean up.
Oh, well, yeah, because I know that Sean, he did amazing work with the M Cave. He would go out there. He was determined. Yeah. So, I know that maybe he just feels, I think maybe he just feels like he no longer is interested, or maybe he's just got other things to worry about. But were you guys in contact? In
the past, yeah, sent the odd few emails. Understandably, he wouldn't always reply because, one, he's busy. Two, he receives a lot of emails. That's not an issue. But when it came to using Telegram in more recent time, more direct messaging, I just simply said, hey, Sean, have you heard about this? Or have you seen that? And it's just the way he replied so abruptly. I've not seen it from him before. So I knew the big contrast to how he normally is compared to how he is now. And yeah, within the message where he said, you're on your own now, Andrew. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. Sounds a little bit weird considering how determined he was in the past. So what's changed? And he did say something about, we're looking into a murder case regarding Kenny. Right. That's the other thing Sean said.
Did that kind of like scare you a little bit? Were you like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be not looking further into this based on what he said?
No, not really, because I thought, oh, well, I'm in the UK. I'm inside a shed. I don't think anyone's going to come after me.
Right. Yeah. So because I know that he was, like you said, he did send you some messages and told you, this is, maybe you shouldn't be looking into it. Or so I was just wondering, if maybe that might have made like an impact, or, if maybe he knows something. It's just
possible.
Yeah. So who else has been involved in that?
So really, Robin, I think that was in 2020. He got involved. He lives in Las Vegas. And before that, his channel just consisted of Area 51 related stuff. But at some point in time in 2020, he got involved with the M Cave mystery. He did a hike himself. He actually went out there himself. So that was good of him. But he was in a different area. He wasn't in the correct location. However, one thing to link on, he did end up coming across a strange rock with a supposed symbol on it. Now, I did a video on that, and the symbol on the rock was like some kind of like square with a flick in the corner. And one of the users, I think Artari, she said that in Hebrew, I believe, it translates to the letter M. So we were thinking, is it some kind of secret marker, some kind of symbol suggesting that the M Cave is in that vicinity? Didn't really come to a conclusion at the end because it still hasn't been discovered or rediscovered since Robin went there for the first and only time. The only other thing that Robin did come across was a skull, which was found fairly high up on a rock, almost shoulder level. You wouldn't really expect an animal to, place a skull there. So that was a bit weird. Jeff Clark and even Sean, they separately came across skulls as well, placed on top of rocks high up. So is it some kind of like weird symbol? Is someone out there who we don't know of?
Right.
But yeah, so with really Robin, he seemed okay, but at some point in time, he ended up acting very strange. He deleted all of his videos except for the MCave related stuff. And I thought, that's weird. You know, you put that effort in, you've built your channel up, you had a reasonable amount of subscribers, and then he just got rid of it all. And I'm thinking, right, I better contact him now before he ends up disappearing for good. I was successful in doing so. I emailed him. Regardless of whether the responses by him were genuine or not, he did reply back. And I was like asking, what's going on? Like, why have you suddenly changed in behavior? Why do you sound very nervous? And why are you reading from a script regarding to his revealing the truth about the MCave? I'm thinking, okay then, so what have you got to say? And then he ended up replying saying, no, he was nervous because he didn't want to mess up the video. He was reading from a script just because that's how he does the videos. So, okay. And I said, well, why are you deleting the videos and all your content? And he said, because I want to be more in touch with God. I want to be like more spiritual. I want to delete myself from all the social media and everything online and be more with religion. So I thought, okay. And I thought, this is happening again. Spiritual factor, spiritual link, you know, Liberia Sean, change in behavior. What was Sean linked with? Spirituality, awakening. What was Kenny involved with in the past? Spirituality, awakening. And look what happened to Kenny, ended up disappearing. Look what happened to Sean, slight change in behavior. And look what happened to Robin, involved in spirituality as well. And he ended up disappearing in the end because it was a slow process. As I said, he deleted his original videos and then he ended up disabling the comments on his MCave videos. And then he finally released his final 2 videos explaining what's actually happened to Kenny and everything. And he was saying it was some kind of demon or something creature that took him. And he was saying, you better not go back out there. Do not go back. And it actually links on to a completely different mystery, but still has similarities in change of behavior. And that applies to, have you heard of Mac Adventures? Have you heard of that YouTube channel? So Mac Adventures was originally a father and son channel in which they traveled around on their bikes. And they, you know, at some point started focusing on Area 51. And, you know, they recorded themselves at times stepping over the line, the barrier, the gate of Area 51, the entrance, and risked it. And at one point, they were held at gunpoint by the military that were there.
You know what? I think I might have heard of that or seen something like that. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. And they were held at gunpoint, told to go back and stuff. And it was all captured on camera. I think it was one of their most popular videos as well, like 8 million views or so. But then after that, they went very quiet. And then I think it might have been 6 months or more. The son ended up reappearing on a live stream explaining what's happened. Supposedly, they were captured, like, you know, imprisoned for 6 months because of what they've done. But, you know, there was theories saying the change of behavior, you know, 1 minute they're really determined and focused and involved with like Area 51. They really want to do it. They enjoy it. And then the next minute, the guy is in his truck 6 months on saying, don't go there. There is nothing to see. Why would anyone want to go there? There is nothing. And that kind of reminded me to Really Robin, how Really Robin was involved with the MCave mystery, looking for it. And then next thing you know, he's saying, don't go out there. You don't want to be there. They will kill you. And I'm thinking, we're getting many links. We got the spiritual link, which is causing people to change in behavior. And then, you know, just the change in behavior itself. Is there some kind of external factor or intervention, you know, in play?
And, you know, I think that maybe just, you know, if like for my thought is, you know, a lot of people that investigate like yourself that go out there and you know, or make the videos that get a lot of these crazy messages on YouTube or comments, and I feel like maybe that could kind of play a role into why they decide to stop, because maybe it starts to get a little too, you know, scary or maybe threatening. And I mean, I would definitely feel that would play a role as well, because, you know, like even for yourself with all those messages that you were receiving, encrypted messages, and, you know, dates and things like that. I can imagine, you know, that would be very scary and would make you want to just stop, because, you know, it's something that, like you said, it's psychological, you know, it could definitely, you know, get to people. So I feel like that could play a role. And also, I mean, do you agree, or what do you feel about that?
Well, for me, I've not really seen any, you know, threatening messages or anything whatsoever directed at those other YouTubers. Maybe it was done more private behind closed doors, and that's why I wouldn't know. I mean, the stuff I received, yeah, there was the odd few comments. And then when it came to the emails, which everyone else wouldn't have seen, only me, I enabled it so everyone else could see, because I posted it publicly, you know, like when it, just a completely different example, but like when you're being followed by someone in real life, you're being stalked, worst thing you can do is go back to your house immediately. The best thing you can do is go somewhere very public, very open, and there's a lot of people around. Or if you're being attacked in public, best thing to do is scream out really loud, make a noise, and then, you know, you're more chance of being safe. So I think that can translate virtually when it comes to virtual threats. I mean, it might be different physically with some of the YouTubers, but if it's mainly cyber threats, and that's why it's put those other YouTubers off, the best thing you can do is either report it or, you know, publicly post it so everybody is alert and everybody is aware, because I think it does help. And that might have been why people might have been put off harassing me in the end, because I end up posting it public, and I don't think they like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. And, you know, I just want to say, because all the people that are involved and that have been involved in the past, regardless of what has happened, you know, they're still, I feel, doing their part in trying to solve, you know, this disappearance and what happened to this nice gentleman that was out there just exploring and, you know, taking advantage of the areas that he lived in. And I feel like it's amazing that people would go out there on their own, you know, out of their own accord, to try to go help or to look and try to, you know, do their part. So I kind of just want to say, you know, that I would want people to do that for me, if that was, you know, my case, if something ever happened like that, you know, that people go out there looking and trying to solve, you know, this mystery, or trying to find, maybe he's in this cave that he was talking about. So I just want to say that, you know, that's amazing, and that's awesome that people would do that.
I just wanted to know if you have any theories on what you think the cave is.
So in a way, I do feel like there could well be an M cave out there. Whereas if we link back to the idea, yes, there's been a fair few hikers that have gone out there, like how you said, it's good of them to do that, yes. And like I've left comments as well, respect to them. I mean, one key point to note is a fair few of my videos wouldn't exist if it wasn't for those people that went out there. So, you know, I make sure to credit them where it's due and show respect in that way. And, you know, whilst most of them haven't really found the M cave or remains of Kenny in any shape or form, one key thing to know is, yes, all the different mysteries and changes to the environment and the things that have been altered with, like the mine shaft and even the covered cave, which we can get to shortly, what has happened with that in recent time. So yeah, it helps create an overall picture and piece it together. I mean, like recent hiker Jay Chuck, he was actually a bit negative with himself and felt a bit down. He felt it was done in vain. It was a waste of time. But I just messaged him and say, you know, because of you have single-handedly helped reduce, I guess, the search area down, because the more people that go in different locations, you can grade the areas out. And then it kind of reduces the areas which haven't been explored. So it makes it easier in general.
Yes, that's true. So did you want to talk about what's been going on with the covered cave?
Yeah, so with the covered cave, Sean first, well, actually Kenny first came across it, but he didn't really make much reference to it. He just said, "Oh, a cave like here." It was really Sean that actually went hands-on with the cave, the supposed covered cave, had a look at it and stuff. He did make comment that some of the rocks were loose, but from him trying to shove it, it didn't look that loose, and I'm sure it would have weighed a fair bit. He did also mention about the side piece or something. There was like a missing piece, quite a big chunk of it. And okay, maybe the environment, it was weathered and it just eroded or just broke off. But okay, if it broke off, then why is it not on the floor? There was nothing there. So that was weird. And then you fast forward onwards, because like with the mine shaft, I actually did a timeline, picture by picture, comparing it from Kenny to Sean. It was fine. To who was it then? I can't remember which exact order. Aquachiga, Jay Silverheels, and it was between Aquachiga and Jay Silverheels where the change was noticed, and it was one of the black darker rocks in the top corner of the covered cave, which was now missing. And the question is, where is it? And from the camera angles and what we could see, I couldn't see the rock on the floor. And if you reinforce the point of how when Sean made reference to that big chunk on the left-hand side of the wall, how it was missing and it wasn't on the ground, well, the same could have happened here. The question is, why is it missing? I mean, you can link it back to the mine shaft. Why was the mine shaft altered with? Why is the piece of brace missing there? What's the whole point behind it? I mean, I don't think I've actually mentioned it in a video, but one theory, possibly linking to the idea that the rock was removed, could have been by military, and they might have been testing it for traces of chemicals, toxins on it. Because one theory which has been going around is that covered cave may not be the M cave, but it could be one of those dumping grounds for toxic waste or whatever type of chemicals. And that's potentially why Sean got sick at the time, because he got too close to the covered cave. And then maybe later on, a few years on, military came along, took a bit of the rock away, and maybe tested it to see if it was emitting anything toxic. That's it. One theory.
Right. That's interesting. Do you have any other questions? I have a question. So, would you just out of curiosity, or would you ever try to go explore yourself, or try to, maybe if you ever were in the area, and try to go hiking up there? Is that something that you would do yourself?
I'm not quite sure. I think when you take in the practical factors, the distance, finances, and obviously the current events that are going on, I don't think it would be practical. But like with what all the hikers have currently done, previously done, and maybe future ones, they have covered quite a lot of distance and have captured quite a lot. So I'd say, what's the best way of wording it? I'd say the people that have currently and previously hiked out there, that's their expertise. That's what they know. Right. That's what they're good at. Whereas me, because I'm more visual, I can pick up on certain details and changes. Maybe I'm from a bird's eye view, virtually. I monitor all the stuff that happens. I review footage. I review the stuff, and that's probably where I'm better at.
Right.
I'd say.
Yeah, because it does seem like a definite intense hike, and I think people that go up there would have to be experienced hikers, because it didn't, even Kenny himself would say that it's a very rigorous, exhausting hike. So that's definitely something.
And I guess the weather as well, because the difference between the UK and Nevada, big difference in weather. So it'd be a bit hard to climatize to.
Right. But aside from that, I feel like based on all the videos and that people have posted, it looks really, really beautiful out there, and I can see why people would go up there and try to get away from the city, get away from everything and just try to go out there and spend time with nature. And so it's definitely a nice area. And it's a tragedy, you know, what's happened. And do you
Yeah.
know if there's been any other disappearances around that area?
Well, actually, it's not guaranteed, but one person back in 2016 called Eric the Hiker directly contacted Sharon Pilgrim, Kenny's supposed girlfriend, about hiking out there to look for Kenny. And he didn't reply after that. Supposedly he disappeared as well.
Wow, that's sad.
I mean,
Yeah.
it might be fake and everything, but he did directly contact Sharon, and Sharon did reply back a few days after saying, it's been 2 to 3 days. You've not replied. What's happened? So, yeah.
And they haven't heard since.
Nope, nothing.
Wow. That's sad. Hopefully that's not the case. Yeah. So, well, we appreciate you being here. Do you have any additional things that you wanted to add, or?
I think I've got the odd few updates.
Okay.
So, which one first? So this is regarding Scott Natal. I can't remember what year, maybe 2020, late 2020. And Scott Natal, I can't remember the exact location. I have to double check. I think Jeff Clark provided coordinates, maybe. I'm not too sure. But basically, Scott Natal was in some area in the desert, and he was looking for all the different possible M-shaped caves. And then he ended up going in one cave or so, and like the back wall or so was dark and black, and like there might have been a fire there in the past. Don't know when it dates back to then. But the weird thing was, as Scott Natal turns around and either goes up some kind of tunnel slope thing, he doesn't capture himself, but the camera does. As he's going up there, the camera just picks up a piece of rock which clearly has the figure of 8 symbol, including a circle, I think, with a dot in the middle, and then another symbol, and it's in a certain order. So that's really weird.
Yeah.
Strange symbols on rocks.
That's interesting.
So it depends how, when that dates back to.
Yeah, it definitely could be like native or something from, some ancient,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I think one of the symbols was linking to either the sun or gold treasure.
Wow. So, that's interesting.
So, another update, it was because of like me doing the videos, I must have gained some attention from certain people. So one person that popped up, I can't remember his last name, but he's called Gene. I believe it's a male. And Gene left a comment on one of my videos maybe a few months ago, and he's claimed that he was actually a part of the search and rescue team in 2014. And during the rescue, they actually found two or three individual abandoned campsites, which were, I think, near Hayford Peak, further on north and around that area. So there was like questions around what's the possibility that it's Kenny's, because, Kenny was briefly talking about possibly heading north and onwards, and that would link onto Hidden Forest Trail. So that was the question there. And there was kind of a small coincidence how it's called like Hidden Forest, and the name of the healing store, what I mentioned earlier, was called Hidden Forest as well. So I thought that was a bit odd as well. But like with those campsites, it was kind of ruling out in a way the possibility of that recent campsite found by Scott Natal, just simply because, the more campsites you find abandoned, it's less likely to be Kenny, because it could be all kinds of people coming and going. Whereas if it's just one tent, it would be clearer. But still, there's no like confirmation about it isn't Kenny's, nor is it is. So who knows? And additionally, the tent that was found, or like the bag of it, was orange. And from what I saw, what some people saw previously in an older picture, where Kenny must have been dressed up with a headlamp on his head, his backpack, and then he had some like orange thing on the back of his backpack. So the question is, could that have been the tent that was actually found later on? not for definite, because it might just be some kind of sheeting or something, but you know, similar colours. So that was kind of interesting. So yeah, there was that. Was there anything else? The M Cave. Now, although it's been searched quite heavily, Picture Canyon, Jomay Canyon, and all of that, you know, all of the hikers, including Sean, Jay Silverheels, Jay Chuck, Aquachiga, all of them mystery hikes, they have all missed one M-shaped cave, and it was only Jeff Clark, I believe in 2017 again, that was the only one to have seen it. And it was, I think, in Picture Canyon, a bit further past the covered cave. It was higher up, but we'll link onto that shortly. It was higher up. I can't remember the exact coordinates, but I mentioned it in one of my videos recently. And the possibility was because of the lighting, the sun, the shades, that's what covered it or obstructed it. So that's why all the other hikers missed it. But the key point behind it is that M-shaped cave, whether it is the cave or not, it does raise one question. But before I get to that, I need to link back. Jeff Clark did say that that M-shaped cave, there was like some kind of collapsing of rocks. So it could have been deeper beforehand. So, you know, there's a possibility that it could be the M cave.
Yeah.
But, you know, even if that was ruled out, the key thing is if all of those hikers, except Jeff Clark, missed that cave, despite them saying that they can't find the cave or it might not exist because they've looked all over the place, if they've missed that cave, then it raises the question, what else have they missed or walked past? You know, you start questioning. And it actually links on to a key point to do with Kenny Veach. Now, yeah, I've done map analysis, I've done visual analysis of the different caves and everything. But one thing I did in recent time was a language analysis on Kenny Veach, because he actually ended up contradicting himself quite a bit in that M Cave hike video. You know, at the start of the video, he says it's a giant M-shaped cave. But then later on in the video, he says, no, I couldn't find that little funny looking cave. You know, it's either big or it's not.
Right.
So there was that contradiction. The biggest contradiction, you know, if you look at it in terms of the words, he said at the start of the video, the cave is located on a side of a mountain. But then later on in the video, he walks past the covered cave and says it's on ground level, like here. Now, yeah, I did a Google search, and the first search result, and for the majority of it, when I typed in cave on side of mountain, it was literally a cave high up on a side of a mountain. It wasn't ground level. So if we reinforce it and link back to the cave what Jeff Clark found, which was higher up, then it could reinforce that what Kenny was describing originally at the start of his video, that's where it actually was, or that's where it would be found in terms of the elevation and the height of it. It's not actually on ground level. And that's why most hikers and people have not found the M Cave, because they've listened to what Kenny said later on in the video about it being ground level. But there's a chance it could actually be higher up. And because the hikers didn't listen to that key point Kenny made, then it makes you think, so maybe they have missed something. The other, you know, contradiction Kenny made was he was saying like how you can go spelunking, exploring into caves in this area, you know, near the covered M Cave. That's where he said it. But the reality is, and as like what other hikers have said, there are no, you know, caves that are deep enough to actually go exploring. All of them, or all that's been captured, has been very shallow. So you couldn't go exploring within them. So I don't know what Kenny is getting at there. So that's a bit of a contradiction. And then the final contradiction he made was he said how, and he specifically used repetition to highlight the importance and significance of the fact that that area isn't explored by many people. It's very remote. It's very far out. He said very, 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 very few people come here. And yet later on in the video, when he's coming out of Picture Canyon, he says, oh, look, there was a rock or something placed there by another fellow explorer like me. And I'm thinking, yeah, but you just said virtually no one comes here. And now all of a sudden, you just so happen to come across activity from someone previously. So there's a bit of a contradiction there. And, you know, it can branch off two different ways. either he's confused himself, maybe some kind of psychological issues or something. He's not quite there with it. That's a possibility, and that's why he kind of contradicted himself. You know, he did stutter at times. I don't know if that's another thing to pick up on. You know, the timing of when he stuttered. You know, he only stuttered really when he was at the covered cave, when he said it's deep and it's dark. You know, he sounded a little bit nervous. And normally when someone is nervous, maybe it's because they're being cautioned, they've been threatened, or they're trying not to reveal something. I mean, link back to Mac Adventures. The tone of his voice, he was very nervous as well when he was doing the video. Same with the body language, facial expressions. So maybe you can tie it together and form links, and that is why they act the way they do. So yeah.
That's interesting. That's interesting thing.
Is that Jeff Claw?
Yeah, I think Jeff Claw is in. Hello, Jeff.
Hi.
And Jay Silver Hills is in here too. Sending
We
some
had
comments.
someone else who's watching from Guam, so thank you for that.
yeah.
We appreciate it.
And Dida, I just want to say hello to Dark Waters. He's one of our mentors, or our only mentor. But he's the one that actually, got us started with the whole podcast thing. So he was very motivational. So I want to say hi to him. But yeah, those are definitely interesting points. And like I said, people may be, when they go up there, they're exhausted, dehydrated. I mean, I did see some of the videos that I would look at on the YouTube that were uploaded, where you can see that there's caves, but like you said, they don't look like they're deep caves, because I know that I think you mentioned his name. I don't remember what it was, but I think I saw his video, the most recent one in 2020, that he went up there and he was looking around, and he would kind of show the caves and how they weren't very deep.
Yeah, Scott Natal.
Yeah. So, he did a great video, and he would show, the video and try to show where Kenny was and where he was. And so that was very interesting and very helpful too. But you can also see that he would show the camera where you could see a lot of footprints of people that have gone up there. I mean, I know that what we know of is people that post videos on YouTube, but I'm sure that there's a lot other people that have been going that don't upload, and they just go to try to maybe look. Maybe his family will go up there. I mean, you can tell that there's definitely traffic up there.
I mean, in certain locations where, the mine shaft, and maybe further on, there might be the odd few people that come and go, but the majority that have been there have either made videos on YouTube, or they've actually mentioned about it on GLP, Godlike Productions, which is like a forum where people talk about it there and stuff. I mean, I don't know how popular this mystery is. A lot of YouTubers have covered it in the past, the big YouTubers, but they're just, it's like same thing over and over again, recycling. Once there was a hiker, he disappeared at the end. People don't really go into any more depth after that. They just repeat the same old story. So, but they still get involved. But I just don't see why people would go quiet about it unless there is a rogue hiker. Now, that is a theory I've come out with in recent time. If you've got certain pieces of the environment being altered with, such as the mine shaft, the covered cave, and maybe other stuff which hasn't been noticed yet, there could be a rogue hiker or a group of people purposely trying to either put off other people from going there, or actually killing people off. That is a possibility. I mean, like I said, I don't know how popular this mystery is. I mean, if it's like a niche one, not that popular, then I don't know why people are so secretive about it, unless they know something that other people don't and they can't, reveal it. That makes sense. The only possible thing, with the covered cave, some people said was the reason why it was maybe done secretive or not covered or talked about was whoever did it off camera, because you're not allowed to mess with the environment because of the laws regarding the area, and if they recorded themselves, then obviously they would be in trouble. So that is a possibility. But then with the mine shaft, there wouldn't be any need to damage that. And yes, people can say, oh, it's been weathered and it's just worn away. Well, then how come when Scott Natal went, when the brace was already moved by then, missing, supposedly the actual support would be weaker now than ever. And yet Scott casually went down the ladder without anything breaking, and it was perfectly fine. So what's going on there? You know, if Scott can, I don't know how much he weighs, but if Scott can go down that ladder after the main support has been removed, then clearly it hasn't really been weathered. And the brace itself, from the looks of it, would have had to been removed with some kind of tools. Now, if someone is just going there and not really recording themselves and just want to be a part of the mystery, do their own thing, why are they trying to damage the environment? What's the actual point behind that? What does it gain from doing that? The only reason why someone would disrupt something is to either prevent anyone from getting back in or from getting back out.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's kind of scary in a way.
Yeah.
But you know, this and I just want to let people know. So the M Cave, it's such a mysterious place because of what Kenny said. He stated in his video that this cave, it would give him a sort of feeling, vibrations, right? As the closer he would get to it, the worse the vibrations were. And so this is why this cave became so popular and so interesting for people online, because of what he said. And this is why people started going out there trying to look for it, as well as, you know, trying to look for Kenny, because let's not forget, like, he's like the main reason why, you know, people are so interested in this this you know, cave and mysterious disappearance that happened. And so I just want to say to Kenny's family, if they do get to see that, you know, our hearts go out to you. I hope that he is found, and I hope that he is alive, and that you know, I'm sorry that happened. But yeah, our hearts go out to you and to everybody, you know, that's out there trying to, you know, solve the mystery or trying to, you know, go out there and look for him. You know, thank you for doing that. That's very thoughtful and very generous of you to try to, you know, find someone that definitely needs to be found. So do you have anything to add?
No, I don't think so.
Any final thoughts?
Yeah, there's actually like a few more points to mention.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So in recent time, I still need to cover a video on it. First, I had to ask for permission. But yeah, one of the bigger, I think it's the biggest YouTube channel that covers abandoned mines and stuff in America, called Abandoned Mines and Unusual Places. He actually made a video himself. Can't quite remember where it is, but you know, it's within the desert. He didn't give coordinates because the tip-off was from either an ex-military guy or someone who's still a part of the military, and they didn't want to, you know, get in trouble and stuff. But you know, the guy went to some shallow cave once again, but it was in a shape of an M, but it was kind of walled off at the front. There was stones piled on top of one another, so it was a bit weird. You got there, and yeah, it was shallow. There wasn't much to it, but there was like weird scrape marks on the side, like white scrape marks, kind of different to what you'd normally see on other rocks. You know, he was saying that maybe the actual scrape marks were in the wording of either Veach or Latch, and the word Latch was linking to there's like some kind of hidden entrance into somewhere, that shallow cave. But you know, from the looks of it, there wasn't much going on. But the key thing was, and it can link to the mine shaft, is that there's a possibility, and I will make a, you know, an in-depth video on this. There's a possibility that there is a hidden, well, not a hidden, more like a covered mine in that shallow cave on like the ground, the base, because there was like lots of planks of wood. Why would there be lots of planks of wood in a very shallow cave? Now, you look back to the mine shaft, you know, the one where Kenny stood, there's obviously planks of wood there. That's because, you know, it's a mine shaft, the support beams and everything. So maybe the same applies to this shallow M cave, what this guy has found. And, you know, there's like a weird nail stuck in the side of a rock. I don't know why. But yeah, and the other thing what I found was it was actually hidden and tucked behind a rock. When he pulled out, there was an Area 51 sign saying, warning, keep out. What the hell is that doing now? So that's really weird. And And then another key thing, like when you were talking about the vibrations and stuff, there's actually a weird video which is available on YouTube, and it's supposedly by someone called Accord Research. I tried searching them. I don't think they really exist, but Accord Research conducted a study maybe in the 90s or the 80s, not quite sure. You know, you can see the video on YouTube, but the way it's titled is, you know, you can't, it doesn't come up that easy. You got to type in Accord Research, then Cave M or M Cave, and basically it's like some kind of old documentary, supposedly saying a group went out there to look for it, the vibrations and the sounds and stuff being emitted from the cave. And they even showed a picture of the M-shaped cave. It was an M shape, it was quite tall, it was dark, and it looked deep, exactly what Kenny described. Now the question was, how true is the video? You know, one thing I noticed, and this, you know, I looked at it for a bit, and supposedly if you flip the image, it actually almost, you know, fits on screen to the covered M cave, what Sean found and what Kenny walked past. I flipped the image, changed the transparency and the transparency, and it almost fits on the covered cave, which is kind of weird. Mm-hmm. So unless it was open at one point and then it was sealed off, that would reinforce that. But, you know, the one thing I was thinking of when I saw that video was, is it really genuine? Because, like, the visual, the editing, could it have been made old? You know, sometimes when I've done some of my videos and I've, you know, been editing them, you know, you get the different apps, the glitch effect, the blur effect to make it look really old when it's not. So that's a possibility. So maybe it wasn't true in the end, but you never know. So, yeah.
Yeah, I have somebody here, Christina, that said something very interesting. Yeah. You want to talk? You want to
go back to that? I think it's a little higher. Cave possibly only shows up at certain times, astrological involvement, that it may activate at certain times.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's an interesting thought.
I mean, it's possible because, you know, like with that Accord Research group, if that's true, they might have approached the cave at the correct time, the correct place, and that's why it looked how it did. But then when Sean went and whoever walked past it at a different date, different year, it wasn't the correct timing.
Yeah. And then there's somebody here, Prophet Yang. It's funny because he mentions that he almost got lost or went missing. And it was interesting because when I was looking at the most recent video, if you don't know what you're doing, man, you definitely will get lost, because I was just looking at the video and thinking to myself, man, if that was me, I would have already been lost. Like, it's so vast and so, you know, everything looks so similar that it's kind of,
how do you find your way back?
Yeah.
And it's
like a woodland.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing that was found, and it was sometime 2021, I think it might have been January or so, actually came across a weird website. It was very weird, and it was about the it was called, what was it called, the M Cave Crew or something, or the Clue Crew, and they were advertising it or something about hiking out there. It wasn't like a professional website or anything, but it like gave a few details, backstory of Kenny Veach and all the typical stuff, as well as a document attached with more information, like with the maps and stuff what Jeff Clark produced and all that. But the actual location was very weird. From what it looked like when you first look at it on the site, is it says join us here or meet up here, and it's of a church in Nevada. And I'm thinking, well, that's a bit weird. But in fact, it was actually, I think, opposite the church, which was some kind of like housing estate or so in Nevada. So I thought, okay, why would you meet up there? It seems a bit dodgy. Now, one person did actually leave a comment who said he actually worked downtown or worked in Las Vegas at some point installing heaters or something, and he was in that area, knows that area, and it's mainly like older people that live there, so it isn't that dodgy. But the one thing that was noticed was, yes, it says Las Vegas, but when you run an IP, well, you go on like a certain website which looks at the IP address and everything and all the details, it links back to Canada. Now, one thing someone said in the past was Kenny was found, or Lemmy Kilmister was originated from Canada, or was in Canada at some point. So there was like a weird, link there. And before I forget, slightly off topic, with Kenny Veach, there was reports by people saying that, I can't remember, was it in France or somewhere else? Kenny was found on a beach with another woman. Someone reported that he was seen. And then I think Gene, who was part of that search and rescue team, I think he said it himself that in 2016 or so, Kenny Veach was reportedly sighted on the side of a road, pulled over by police. That's another one. And then, another key thing, which I haven't done because, one, it's a bit risky when it comes to YouTube and revealing certain details. Plus, depends how genuine it is, and also you actually have to pay for it. But from the looks of it, Kenny Veach is on the government watch list for certain activities and stuff. And, I went on one website. I didn't click confirm because you have to pay for it and all that. And, I don't think it's really worth it, and depends how genuine it is. But it did ask certain questions to try and, form a link, selecting the correct person. And the questions were quite specific and in relation to Kenny Veach or family members, saying, is this person related to Kenny? And obviously you tick yes, because it is. I'm thinking, this is quite specific, this. And it said it was gaining like all the known details, police reports, warrants, and everything together, compiling it all together, which could reveal a lot about him. Now, I didn't follow through with it because, it's kind of risky, but it depends what's on that report. Because if he is on the government watch list, then it could imply that he might be on the run. And from what some people have said is that, this is the key point, one individual, don't know how true it is, can't remember if there's some kind of doctor or someone or something, who ended up leaving quite a lengthy comment on Aquachiga's video, I believe, saying how there is a police warrant report on Kenny. They are out to try and find him, but at a certain point, maybe in 2021, it comes to an end, and then that's the end of that. So that's interesting. But he was going on about how family members of the Veach are not cooperating, cutting contact, not being honest, hiding stuff, potentially being in on it. So that could link to, maybe helping Kenny out, helping him hide out somewhere. So that's kind of weird, that. And even additionally, like, some people, like just viewers that have like watched my channel, like one of them called Nelia, she was in contact with some of the Veach family members, and then after some time just suddenly cut contact with her, block her, and I think she sent screenshots as well, saying how everyone of the Veach family, or so many of them, have blocked me. I can't contact them anymore. Why would you do that? Providing you're not harassing them, there would be no need to block unless they are hiding something. And also, when it came to Susan Veach, I haven't directly contacted her because I am very cautious most of the time. But, some other people did leave messages. And from the looks of it, it does look like it is, in fact, Susan Veach is related, is part of the Veach family. Okay, that's confirmed from the looks of it. But when Nelia tried messaging Susan, yes, there was an exchange of replies and stuff asking about certain questions. But the moment Nelia said she has contacted the police about it, or someone, she got blocked. So what are they hiding? That's like, odd.
Yeah,
so,
that's definitely interesting stuff that you have going. You're very, very informed with everything, and very your video, you make these very informative videos, and it shows a lot of detail in them. So that's very interesting, especially for people that love this M Cave mystery. I know there's a lot of videos. If you type it in, man, you'll get all these videos of the M Cave and people trying to go search for it, which is interesting. Yeah, I think Jeff Claw is just wanting to know if we talked about really Robin. He did. He talked about it earlier, and we are going to post the video. Is going to be in our our YouTube page if you want to go back and look at what he talked about previously. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, Jeff Clark has been quite helpful when it comes to the mystery. You know, he knows quite a bit when it comes to the coordinates himself, and you know, he's kind of a critical person at times. You know, he doesn't like misinformation. He's quite direct and clear, and he does help. So he has been helpful quite a bit. And the other thing is, well, some people can argue, yes, there is more mysteries, there is more questions than answers. Now, one thing what people need to do is look past the clutter and treat it like a game of Snap. When you're playing a game of Snap, if you've only got a limited amount of cards in your deck, you aren't likely to find a match. But the more cards you add, the more mysteries that show up, the more chances of finding links between current stuff and previous stuff, such as like the mine shaft being altered with, and then look what happens then. The covered cave is altered with, so maybe there's a link there. And then you've got like the tent being found and certain campsites being found at different times, one in 2014, and then Scott comes across it in 2020. Is there some kind of link there? So yeah, there is links forming in a way. And you know, when it comes to my channel, you know, I don't know how many videos of like other people upload. Maybe if you exclude the explorers, the actual people that go out there, on average, most people that will upload videos about the mystery will be just one video. That is it, because they're just basically talking a brief overview of it. Now, for me, I've uploaded over maybe 104 videos on the mystery. So
yes.
yeah.
And we do have somebody that wants to know about your they're asking if you have videos on the M Cave. So do you want to share your channel information, how to get to your channel and how to see your videos?
So you know, one way of finding it would be just simply typing in M Cave or Kenny Veach. My channel will show up automatically for most part of it, because I'm mainly the only one consistently doing the videos. But to directly find my channel, the username is Warlike Space Raf. That's the name of the channel.
Yeah, and he has a lot of videos on the M Cave and Kenny. So if you guys are welcome to go over there and check out his videos. Like I said, for us, we do different things. We don't really we haven't found our groove yet on what we want to stick with. But we do different, like mysterious, different videos or things on maybe the paranormal. But definitely the Kenny, what I want to say for sure a year ago that we put out that video, and I think it's one of our most viewed videos.
Yeah.
And then
I guess people would see it through the
GLP.
Yeah, I saw that link. Yeah.
So and so we decided that it's, you know, we were having a few people here comment on, you know, updates for the M Cave. So here we are with the updates. And like I said, definitely Warlike Wrath is very informative on that information. If anybody has questions or anything, you're welcome to ask, and we can ask them for you. I don't know if you can see the chat. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Subscribe because you promote it. Oh yeah, definitely. Dark Waters is our boy. So yeah, and of course anybody that loves paranormal, Dark Waters is like I said, the king of horror. So if anybody's interested in his channel, you can go over there and subscribe to him as well. But do you have any additional stuff or information?
Well, like a side note, I mean, with doing the videos I've done, what I try to aim to do is not do videos specifically on exactly what I think, but like a holistic view of what other people think as well. And you know, some people end up complaining, saying that my voice is boring, and like, why do I take 20 minutes to talk about clothing, which like Scott Natal found? But it's just trying to mention every single, you know, angle or counterpoint and counterpoint what someone might make in relation to one of the links or so, just to try and clear up as much as possible. A key thing is when it comes to language used, I try and either go for uncertain language or, vague language. I don't say this is 100% true or this is exactly what it is. Even when I did the keyhole originally, I was thinking, oh, this could be. That was a key word, could be, or it looks like an eye, not it is an eye. So I made sure to do that, and it enabled me to be able to make a future video, talking about it and clearing things up. Yes, there was resistance, and I can link on to that in a second, because there is like a weird division going on with different groups of people within like the community. But there was resistance. You had the people that were really hardcore and believed in it, like with the paranormal stuff and the creatures and everything.
Mm-hmm.
You had some people that were resistant because they didn't want, a mystery to be, explained and turn out to be nothing that special. Sometimes people don't like it when something's revealed and they just want it to be kept as a mystery. I don't believe in that. The way my mindset was, if I know something now, which I didn't know before, I might as well clear it up and make a video, because I don't believe it helps adding more mystery to a current mystery. It makes it confusing. So along the way, you've got to try and clear things up, and it does help, and it declutters stuff, so it becomes easier for maybe other people that come along that might look at the information or the content. I mean, like the very first video I did, it was 2020, or it might have been towards the very end of 2019. My first video was about the playlist. I don't know if you saw it, where I was talking about the playlist being supposedly removed, his liked playlist.
Right. Yeah.
I was thinking, why is that? Because what did he have in his playlist? The spirituality, the awakening material, and then that disappeared. So what's going on there? And someone did clear it up at a later point, saying it was YouTube's policy automatically does it to everybody. Everybody's liked playlist is automatically made private, and there's nothing you can do about it. Once I found out about that, I obviously did a video just to clear things up, so there wasn't any confusion there. Actually, there is a key thing, and it's quite weird. People have claimed, and I've seen it myself, that there are clues in Kenny's video about him selling the house. There is clues within it. Now, I can't remember specifically the details because I can only remember so much. But as Kenny approaches a table, there is a curtain with the number 201. I don't know what the other numbers say. Or it might be 202. I can't quite remember. Some people were saying that's some kind of weird link going on. And then the biggest thing was there was a skeleton, like an ornamental one, and I think it was like made out of dices, dominoes, pieces, stuff like that. And he said he likes to tell a story, like how you said, he's creative. He tells a story with his items and everything. And he captioned it as, and this guy went rolling the dice and risked it looking for something. And I'm thinking, well, that's kind of coincidental, because Kenny Beach kind of risked his life out there to look for something. And the actual dice, there was 2 dice, and it added up to the number 11. And I can't remember how exactly, November the 11th or the 10th, that's when he disappeared. So there was like some kind of link within that video which gave that date of his disappearance or so.
Oh, that's interesting. Wow.
Yeah, so that was weird.
Yeah, because he definitely loved his home. I remember when he was trying to sell it, that he would say, the house comes with me. So it's, definitely he had plans, and which leads me to believe that he wasn't trying to be gone anytime soon or trying to commit suicide in any way, because he definitely had plans for his home and, what his future, what he saw in his future. So definitely that also in his videos, it comes through. Yeah.
I mean, the only other thing I noticed, it probably isn't much to it, but like I was going on about how Kenny stutters, gets a little bit nervous, a little bit, I don't know, agitated, like when he was at the cave site. The other known time I noticed him changing a behavior abruptly is in that video, the house tour, when he was selling it and he was going upstairs and he suddenly changed, said, whoa, I can't show you that room. And I'm thinking, why not? What is in that room? What is he hiding? It might not be nothing, but for him to suddenly, abruptly change like that, you've seen it in horror films or something where someone might, go to the basement or the attic about to open the door, and then someone, comes along and says, whoa, you can't go in now. And you're thinking, why not? I mean, like, what is in there? And, there was a theory saying, I don't know if you've heard of the channel, what's it called? Is he called Bruno Alvarez or something? Have you heard of him?
No.
So he's into spirituality. Oh, he's called Bernard Alvarez. That's his name. And the link there, first of all, is Kenny actually has a liked playlist video of Bernard Alvarez talking about how to not go crazy during your awakening. Now, what one individual person said, I don't know if to name them or not, just in case there's any more conflict, so I won't name them out of respect for privacy, but one person was claiming or suggesting the possibility that Kenny is in disguise and could be Bernard Alvarez because of certain facial similarities when you compare the faces. If you prosthetic nose or something, and longer hair, but there's kind of like similarities in appearance, and it just so happens that Bernardo Alvarez actually has a similar walking stick or cane on the back of his wall as Kenny Veach does in one of his rooms. Wow. So there's a kind of a link there.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things and little details, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, well, do you have anything? What do you think?
I think it's covered. Yeah.
In depth. Yeah, very informed, and we appreciate your time. Do you want to share what's in the future for you? Are you going to continue with the videos, the Kenny videos and the MK videos?
Yeah, well, the reality is, providing there is something to cover, I will cover it. Might have the odd few breaks because it can get quite tiring. Sometimes doing the research, or sometimes it can get a bit repetitive. I mean, like even the simple stuff such as the visual background. There's only so much footage you can use, partly because of copyright, but also because of there's only so much footage out there, and it's kind of difficult at times to try and find newer backgrounds or newer stuff as I'm narrating over things. So it can get a little bit difficult, but in terms of other videos, I do need to cover the video about Robin being an undercover cop. That's a possibility, because before I forget, it wasn't just Sean that was supposedly set up by Robin. Jeff Clark could have been set up as well if he turned up to meet Robin. Now, Robin, at some point, wanted to meet up with Jeff, I think maybe at a restaurant or a diner, something, maybe to discuss stuff, but it never happened. The question is, what would have happened if it did? If Sean was supposedly set up, then maybe the same could have happened to Jeff. And, if we're talking about, we've got these like rogue hikers or weird intervention, Robin could have been a part of it. At the end of the day, whilst we're exposing or revealing strange things that have happened, maybe in this one case, Robin was the one that was exposed himself. His cover was blown, and that's why he went quiet. So that is a possibility.
Yeah. So you're going to try to see if you can come up with a video for that?
Yeah. I don't know how long it will be, but
okay,
just have a little look at it. And I think on GLP, there's a bit of information regarding it there. The other video will be a map analysis of Scott Natal, where he found this tent and sword. Just give a clearer explanation behind that, and measure the distance between the location of that, as well as where Kenny hiked, see if there's some kind of link. And then also I'll be doing like a deeper analysis, visual one, of the shallow M cave, which exploring abandoned mines and unusual places found, because I've got permission from him now to use parts of the footage. So yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. And just a quick question. Do you know the stuff that people find out there that, could possibly be a link to like Kenny's disappearance? Is that taken to the police, or is that left alone and reported? Do you know anything on that?
Well, it's kind of like a weird scenario because, like, as I forgot to say before, there's divisions within the community. The people who are involved in trying to solve the mystery, there's divisions there, but also external people trying to reach out to, there's division there, or there's some kind of dysfunction in communication and contact. One individual, I won't name, did contact one of the deputy sheriff or some kind of investigator with the police within the area who hasn't revealed much or said much, but they said the case is still open, but they're not really doing much. So that's kind of weird. Scott Natal, who actually retrieved the cane sword, as well as a pair of underpants, which were randomly found in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
Scott said about he was going to take them to someone. I don't know who. I think maybe family members in a way. I don't know if that could be risky, because if there's the possibility of people, foul play, maybe they might get a hold of the evidence and then, destroy it. So hopefully he goes to the correct people to try and get DNA. But, the last update I received was there wasn't really much information at this moment in time. In terms of the division within the community, you got the hardcore people that will only see it one way and only one way. And then that can cause kind of, disruption and arguments with other people. But then, you got the more open-minded people that say, yes, it could be supernatural, it could be paranormal, there could be creatures out there, but also it could be a simple reason as well. And then you've obviously got the people that are threatening, saying bad stuff, more serious things. You think, well, why are they there? Are they trying to cover something up or kind of distract us from the truth or silence us? You got them. And then obviously you got the other group of people, the ones that change in behavior all of a sudden, who also so happen to be linked with spiritual stuff. So I don't know if that plays a part, ends up messing with their mind or sends them off course or something. But yeah, it's weird. And like I said about really Robin, that location he was at with that rock symbol, no one has been there since. So I don't have any update on that. And similar to Scott Natal with that weird pattern on the rock, really, he hasn't been there since. I do try and leave a comment and say, have you checked out there since? But sometimes they don't always reply. So I don't want to, spam them with lots of messages. So yeah. But I think, it's a possibility. It's not guaranteed, but there's a possibility with the videos I've covered, because I've consistently done it. It has encouraged more hikers than ever. Yes, you had Sean in the past, but after that, who did you have? No one.
Mm-mm.
And then I came along, I did my videos or what I could do. And then all of a sudden, all these people start going out and hiking. So there's kind of like a potential chain link that is ignited, which can help. And, one thing I do acknowledge, and I do try and word carefully, is like when referring to locations where people could go or suggest, I don't say you should be doing that, you should be going there, or when are you going on your next hike? Because who am I to talk? Have I been there? No. Have I been hands-on? No. So I'm not really in the position to say that sort of stuff. So I know what to say and what not to say. But I guess when it came to doing the map, if people haven't checked that, I did a map analysis of like the overall hike in general, what Kenny did, what Sean did, the distance in total. And, from what some people have said, like Mystery Hikes, who actually went out there and hiked, he said before he went out there, he actually looked at my video and, reviewed it. And then like Jeff Clark, he said this could have been used as the official search and rescue report thing. So, I'm not from that country, so I'm not, or the state, I'm not going to know the actual environment or the terrain or the locations, the coordinates, but I managed to piece it together in a way with the help of Google Earth. So it kind of helps in a way. I mean, is there any more mysteries? There could be. I mean, you'll get like small ones as well, which show up along the way, but it's just trying to keep track of it all, because I think one thing for certain, yes, I've just remembered, this is a big one. You know Kenny's original comment on Son of an Area 51 technician? Do you remember that comment when he first introduced himself about the M cave and him finding it? And then that was in the same thread as where Lemmy replied and said, "Don't go back, bad things will happen." Well, that comment has been magically deleted. Why did it be deleted? All of it, the whole thread. Over 500 likes on that comment. It was the most liked comment because of obviously who it was. And then in 2020, I believe it was just randomly deleted. Now, the only way it could be deleted, it's either one, the original YouTube channel, that they deleted their own comment, or two, the channel of the comment that it was on, the channel got it removed or reported it, or YouTube did themselves. But the actual comment itself wasn't bad. There wasn't any spam, There wasn't any links, there wasn't anything offensive or bad words said, so there would be no need for it to be deleted. And like with Really Robin, how some of his stuff was deleted, and now completely all of it. Kenny's comment being deleted, and then some other stuff in the past maybe. Why is it being hidden? Why is it being taken away? That's why you've got to try and document all this before it ends up disappearing. And why it disappears, it just makes more suspicion. I mean, the worst thing anyone or a group of people can do is react. The moment you react, you've stepped on something, or you're heading in the correct direction, whether it's for the right reasons or the wrong reasons. If you get a lot of positivity, it's most likely because you're doing something right. You are doing something correct. But if you get a lot of resistance or a lot of bad reactions by people, you've uncovered something you're not supposed to. And like when it comes to Susan Veach, who just suddenly appeared, I've done all the videos in the past of the actual hike, the visual stuff and what I found. But when it came to something more personal, an actual store owned by a Veach family member, and hinting at the possibility that Kenny's involved, suddenly they've shown up all of a sudden. So there was a reaction there. Yeah. And I won't mention the name again, but one person who I've mentioned previously, they ended up getting, harassed, and I think things turned kind of nasty, maybe verbally more, but things turned nasty between some of the Veach family members and this individual that was, a part of the mystery. So whilst people, start acting nasty or snap, change in behavior, it just keeps making things more obvious that there is more to it than what other people are saying. And with what else is there? A bit off topic. One thing I see, I don't know if you've seen it, on Kenny's video, there's so many comments playing the blame game, saying, because of all you viewers, you caused Kenny to die. It's a load of rubbish. At the end of the day, whether people encouraged him or not, Kenny was going to do it anyway. He did what he liked doing. He was determined to find it, regardless of the mental state he was in. He would have done it regardless. And you could tell he was determined, like how you said, taking a gun with him. He was ready. He was prepared. He wanted to find it. So whether people said go and get it or not, I don't think it would have made a difference. So
yeah, we appreciate you and your time, and I know that there's a few comments on here, and we appreciate everybody that is commenting and that is supporting. So we appreciate everybody, and thank you so much for being here and sharing all this information. And like I said, if anybody wants to keep up with all these updates, you guys can go to his channel. He has all this information, and thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been fun, definitely. We appreciate it, and keep in touch.
Yeah, sure. I mean, one thing I've always said when it comes to the end of my videos is I'm sure there is more to come. There'll be more mysteries and weird things showing up, and I think it's shown by the amount of key points mentioned.
Right. Yeah. So hopefully not too how do you say it? How does he say the when you get people that don't agree with it? Resistance, right? Hopefully, we don't get a lot of resistance, but it's the internet, so. But thank you, everybody. And if you guys have any questions, be sure to comment and we'll try to answer. But we appreciate your time, and hopefully we get to, talk about this again, or maybe another topic later in the future. So we appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
I'm going to end the stream and see you later, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.